Good evening. We are live now. Those who are watching the recordings, they can just fast forward first 10 minutes. Actual session starts after that. Hi Vikrant, good evening. Welcome to the session. Oh yeah, Vikrant, how come we are aware about this FB features? Because of the consistent research, I'm pretty much interested in online teaching specifically. So I keep researching on these aspects. Hi SP, good evening. Welcome to the session. Yeah, I know, like I do not know a lot of things, so we keep on learning the things from each other. So yeah. Hi Rakhi, good evening. Of late, Facebook has become really a great learning tool. We must use it extensively. And you must be knowing, Vikrant, like the kind of contribution it makes towards learning, since you manage pages, as you say. just 6 p.m. So we'll wait for 5 minutes. By that time, you can just chit chat. You can raise any topic if you wish to. So yeah, yeah. Welcome, Vidyut. Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Murthy. Hey, Nandini, good evening. Lot of researches you do, Nandini. I really appreciate such exhaustive responses. So Rakhi asks, sir, in the morning class you said growth is the human pursuit. Happiness is also human pursuit. Isn't each and everyone working for increase in their happiness? Yeah, nice question. In fact, see, the happiness is a byproduct. It cannot be a pursuit. And nature has devised these pleasures as indicators. The objective is the growth, which is physical growth and cognitive growth. So physical growth is the expansion of the physique. That's limited actually after a certain time, but cognitive growth is endless. If we consciously work for happiness, then we are actually fooling ourselves. So it's just the knowledge which makes us happy or sad, knowledge of new and newer things. So I have to accept that the happiness is the pursuit. It's just the byproduct of the living process. Well, it's 6:05. We'll have 1.5 minutes of silence, then we'll start today's session. Good evening, everybody. So let's formally start today's session. Today is the day 4, and we are here to discuss the reflections of day 3 assignments. The topic was dialectical science, and the statements or the questions were: number 1, share your understanding about dialectical science and rational analysis. Number 2, what do you understand about food and vitality? Hi Minu, good evening. So the first submission was one of the best submissions of the day from SP. So SP responded to the first question saying that to understand this, let us first understand what is truth. Truth is something which never changes and not something which can be proved or disproved, because whatever can be proved can be disproved as well. To understand the truth, it needs both subjective understandings and objective analysis simultaneously. If any one of these two factors is missing, it cannot stand the test of time. Like we see today, how science is changing so fast, the biggest fraud that had happened in the recent times is about the whole theory of cholesterol. Now they say that cholesterol has nothing to do with our heart. Millions of people on the planet started taking statins and other drugs, and now we realized that it was actually damaging the system. This has happened because it was not dialectic and rational. The real conclusion can be achieved only by living in the present moment. The present moment is vast like an ocean where there is lot of disturbances on the surface, but it is peaceful, calm, poised, deep inside. This is what I mean by dialectic and rational understanding. So I don't have anything to comment on this actually. This is an awesome Awesome explanation of the dialectic and rational analysis. Thanks, SP, for sharing this. We are privileged. Now, coming to the second question, understanding food and vitality, SP says, and I quote, vitality is the life force, the energy of our body. In Sanskrit, it's called prana. Food has also its own vitality like the one in our body. More the vitality, better the quality of food and more perishabilities. Since food with long shelf life like grains and processed foods puts extra load on our digestion system and consumes more vitality are to be avoided. Whereas perishable and high vitality food like fruits and vegetables which conserves the vitality of our body is recommended to consume. Type of food we consume results into the health of our body-mind complex. Vitality of the food even affects our mind, which in turn affects the health of our body. Calmer the mind, healthier it is, whereas strength and dynamism defines the health of our body. Here I have actually pointed out this strength thing because the strength aspect is a bit confusing because it leads to a comparison of the physical strength as you mean here. So the dynamism is the motion within, which is definitely a definite parameter of the health of the body, but the strength is not. How strong you are, that doesn't define your health. How strong means the quantification of the strengths I'm talking about. Hope I'm clear on that. Now he continues, yes, it is debatable that food does not provide energy to our body, but is surely responsible for the health of our body. Like, for example, better the raw material, stronger and beautiful the building becomes. Similarly, high vitality food gives us dynamic and stronger body. Again, I pointed out the stronger thing. Dynamism is again energy which is conserved due to food management, which helps in operating our body efficiently. Vitality and food is a very complex and deep subject and the biggest secret of the nature. At the end, I would like to say that whether food gives vitality or not is not that important. More important is, are we attaining better health or not? I would also like to quote here that health is not mere absence of disease. Health is being established in self. It is the dynamic expression of life. Sri Sri. So here, SP, there is no debate at all on the aspect of food giving us energy or not, as far as the pure nature cure is concerned. There is no debate at all because nothing can prove that food gives us energy. Nothing can prove that food gives us the energy when we explain the vitality conservation and vitality consumption pattern. So if something is not proved, why to accept and ask ourselves that it can be acceptable? That's the dialectic way of thinking. Till it is proved, it is non-conclusive. And we cannot raise debate on that by assuming that food gives us energy. So, I wanted to point out that debatable aspect as well. Going forward, the next submission was from Prasida. Is Prasida there in the session? So whoever I'm reading the submission, if can just comment in the comment box that she or he is available, it would be really appreciable. So yeah, so I'll continue with Prasida's first response on the understanding of dialectical science and rational analysis. Beautiful response, in fact. It is a mechanism to reach the absolute truth through argument, through argumentation. Truth is not considered true based on who said the statement, how many people have accepted the truth. The concentration is only on the object of interest, the statement whose truth needs to be evaluated. And no individual involved in the course of argument does attach their self to it, and even subjective bias or feelings to it. It is very important to question all assumptions made that makes us feel the statement is true. It's possible that our beliefs are challenged by other. We need to consider the argument with open mind and try to achieve or reach the absolute truth. It's a process of constant learning and unlearning based on the arguments. This is very necessary for the growth of an individual and to find one absolute objective truth. Growth of an individual and to find one absolute objective truth. This is very clear submission. Now next is the second question, food and vitality. Actually, Prasida asked a few questions here, so I would have appreciated if she would have been here in the live session. So she says, my understanding of vitality needs much more reflection and exposure. Like, I have questions. If the vitality is constant, why do they say that old people have less energy compared to their youth, despite a healthy lifestyle? The second question she asked, if an individual practices nature cure constantly, will the energy with which an individual performs task be constant through years? Third question she asked, is there an optimal vitality consumption or usage that would not lead to innervation? I do understand it's different for different individuals. So is there a mechanism to identify it? So this is actually a common question. Many people think about, raise these questions actually. So let's address these questions first, then I'll come back to the write-up she has presented next to the questions. So here we need to understand that that vitality of a moment, if you remember, vitality is of a moment is this, if we talk about this point as A and this point as B, the C point changes up and down. Right. Now the red portion is the vitality consumed and the green portion is vitality conserved. So definitely this equation holds true that AB equals to AC plus BC. Right. Now this BC is the vitality consumption and AC is the vitality conserved. Now if we say this, that the total V, capital V, is the vitality conserved plus vitality consumed. Now vitality conserved, if we just write VC plus vitality consumed, will be summation of lot of small v's. and billions of these V's up to N. So this is what is the consumed portion of the vitality. Now, this V1, V2, V3 actually keeps changing, and these are each and every activities starting from our blinking of eyes. So blinking of eyes could be V2, V1, V2 could be talking, V3 could be listening, and so on. For the billions of the activities that is going consciously and beyond consciously within us are actually consumed, are consuming the vitality. Now, this vitality consumption actually improves or increases rather with the cellular maturity. So the first question what Prasida asked is, why then, if the vitality is constant till the death, then why older people has lower energy? Because of the cellular maturity, the complexity of the cells gets enhanced. More the complexity of the cells, more the consumption of the vitality in the process of catabolism and anabolism. We need to understand this. So when we consume more and more vitality in the process of cellular maintenance, because of the cellular maturity, it ought to consume more vitality. So all in all, the vitality consumption will be going down with the age, as the vitality conserved will go down with the age, and this will go up with the age as the cellular maturity is done. So this is number one question. So this is number one. Then she asked that whether the proper lifestyle, so we may opt to call this nature cure lifestyle or otherwise. So nature sync lifestyle is a better word perhaps. So whether there will be a constant or experience of sense of life and all the stuff. So answer is definitely yes. If you have more and more vitality conserved, then the conserved vitality will allocate more vitality to the task. Yeah, Prasida, welcome to the session. You are late. Actually, we are discussing your questions also within your response. So we did not plan for answering, but to go through the reflection. But since you asked in your response, you asked 3 questions. So those 3 questions we are addressing right now. So this was the second question where you asked that the vitality, conserved vitality, will lead us to have a better experience of the task execution, something like that. So yes, definitely, if you consistently conserve your vitality, then allocated vitality will be improved for sure. So if conserved vitality goes up, then definitely the consumed vitality will be improved. The quality will be improved. So the quality improvement will be there. So this was the second question. And the third question was that yeah, right. Welcome to Lika. I'll come back to the Nandini's point. Let me cover this. The third question she asked that whether there is an optimal vitality consumption. So this is another problem of human intelligence, you know, problem and the benefits, whatever you can term it, that the moment we want, we get some clues, we try to scale it up and we try to make it generalized. So when we have the voice of the organism inbuilt individually, then why we need that measurement of the vitality? In the last batch of residential camp, one entrepreneur came, and he was very impressed with the concepts of vitality consumption and these all vitality quotient fixation of the vitality quotient and all. So he was actually planning to build something to measure vitality, you know. So that there actually is the irrationality crops in. If we already have something inbuilt to measure or sense, so measurement is a human conception, that mathematics is a human conception, but the moment you try and sense your voice of the organism, you are done. You don't need any extra measurement for the optimal aspects of the vitality, please. Right? So why do we need anything extra when we have inbuilt voice of the organism? Right. So Prasida responded the question or the statement. Now, with respect to the food and vitality, I'm convinced that each person has been given X amount of vitality during their conception, and each individual needs to manage physical, physiological, and psychological tasks so that vitality consumption is reduced. The state of the food in which it is consumed leads to a certain amount of vitality. Raw fruits and vegetables are disintegrated in our body easily, and nutrients are extracted and circulated to various parts of the body. I have experienced discomforts in terms of acidic burps, ear burns, constipation when I consume processed food, and now I can relate the symptoms based on what I consume. I am certain that we can't increase vitality by consuming certain food, even though you see effects consuming glucose. But the consumption of vitality affects to a great extent based on the food consumed. Yeah, so the last portion is unarguably rightly presented. So hope your all the three queries are clear. So I get some messages here. So let me go through. Nandini says that with age, vitality consumption will go up. Yogis of Himalayas are able to manage a life of some 100 of years. Please comment. Okay, so now the cellular maturity is an individual achievement, Nandini. So if you lead a healthy lifestyle, definitely the lifespan of your individual life will be increased with a better sense of life and better quality of cells. So that way, the consumption of the vitality will be differing or will be different in terms of your own lifestyle pattern. So if the yogis that you mentioned are able to conserve their vitality to such an extent, they can definitely increase their lifespan effortlessly because of the cellular quality. So cellular maturity and cellular quality, both the things we need to consider to understand this aspect. Yeah, Prasida wrote that what I meant was how to be sensitive towards the voice of the organism. So we have discussed actually in today's session, this was submitted by you yesterday. So we need to calibrate our senses, you know, that's how we'll become more sensitive. So this is a subjective thing. This cannot be like machinery measurement can be done or machinery tweaking can be done. This is personal persuasion towards the voice of the organism. So next question comes, or next comment comes from Nandini. Scientists have found that telomere shorten indicates aging in the body. This is due to pollution, chemical stress, lifestyle, etc. Please comment. I'm not aware about this telomere aspect, but definitely the pollution, chemical stress, lifestyle, these all are the factors which consumes more and more vitality. So with the vitality explanation, this can be explained that if you consume more vitality, definitely your lifespan is getting affected, your individual lifespan. Right. So let's proceed. Next submission is from Minu. This is little hazy, you may find, but I can read it. Dialectic science is a science in which we reach the truth through arguments and counter arguments. We analyze and investigate through our individual rationality and logic. While we analyze and investigate, we must first free ourselves from prior influences, the ancient syndrome. After we understand and assimilate the information and get to the core of it, we make it our own. It doesn't matter who said or where it is written or how many people follow it. It is our own individual rationality, wisdom, and intellect that prevails. Here, we don't conclude for the things which we can't give logic. While logic is rigid in explanation and analysis, rationality is flexible and a more holistic way of analyzing the information. Rationality is neutral towards any beliefs. Aptly presented, no comment at all. So here I get a comment from Mr. Murthy. What is cell maturity? See, cell as the life progresses, cells get matured. That's what, like the physical growth happens because of the more cellular division and cellular maturity. So as the age progresses, the cell gets more and more complex in its structure and its execution. So that's what is the cell maturity. This is a cellular organelle. Tell me more. So I don't have any idea about this, Nandini. So we need to look into it. Yeah. So SP says, I think meditation helps to a great extent for yogis to conserve the vitality. So I understand meditation as a tool to reduce the thought burden. That's it. So if one can achieve reducing the thought burden, it's definitely helpful in vitality conservation, whatever the name we may opt to give it, meditation or whatever. Now the next question is food and vitality. Vitality, next response from Minu. Vitality is a formless life force, energy. Food contains its own unique vitality. We are all born with a vitality at the time of conception. It's unique to each one of us. It can't be created or destroyed, nor is it compatible with others' vitality. So we can't enhance it, but we can manage it by conserving it. Our body's anabolic action needs supply of substance. When we supply food, we feel contented. The quality of food ensures the building of our body and conserves vitality. But the vitality of food isn't absorbed by us. By having simple food, we conserve our vitality and can achieve good health, as the newer cell will be better. Although vitality is not affected by health, it is affected by consumption pattern. If our lifestyle is in sync with natural tendencies and we consciously manage our food intake, we can experience better health. So food intake is one of the attributing factors of vitality, Minu says. Now here I pointed out this particular sentence where you say about, although vitality is not affected by health, so it is definitely affected by bad health. If you have a consistent bad health, so even if the consumption pattern is like irrespective of the consumption pattern, the bad health, the toxic cellular level or the toxic blood will consume more and more vitality for sure. So it is not only the input consumption, but vitality is also affected by the health. So we should not consider that whatever the bad health or good health may be, consumption will take care of the things. It is not the fact. So it depends upon the chronified condition as well. Next is Tulika. Tulika, are you there in the session? I saw you entered in the session, but yeah, I'm not sure if you are still there. So the first question was responded as dialectical science is the truth based on rational understanding. It considers okay, Minu, you meant vitality at conception, right? Nandini says truth is that whose neutrality resonates with our whole being and communicates to the other in true honesty and sincerity. It connects us to the others like universal, each present in all creatures and even the non-living elements which are a part of nature. Okay, so we'll discuss on that later on. And yeah, good evening, Tulika. So we'll proceed with your submission. Dialectical science is the truth based on rational understanding. It considers why several times before reaching to the real cause of the problem. There is not mere acceptance of anything based on fact and logic. A person following dialectical science experiences wellness in having faith in the body and not carried away by various innate fears. There is more freedom experienced in the whole process as the justification and understanding comes from within. There are no external influences in the acceptance or rejection of a certain notion or idea. When something is assimilated completely, then the understanding becomes very natural, free-flowing, experiential, and is dialectical in nature. She continued, many people who just follow and have accepted what is written in the religious text and do not question its relevance and need to have a blind faith cannot be termed dialectic. Dialectical understanding means no influence of past or future, but being in the present moment. It brings more awareness to a person to create several possibilities in a state of zero or nothingness. Excellent. Excellent. No question about it. The next question is, all living beings have the unique vitality within themselves. Vitality cannot be created but can be conserved. Food has its own vitality quotient. For example, natural raw food has more vitality and leads to quick digestion when consumed. Natural foods are the simplest food in terms of its structure and gets converted to soil easily and quickly and manifest more vitality conservation in the body. This is very important, vitality conservation in the body. Food is utilized for the body building process, and the quality of food defines the type of food we possess. Food cannot increase our vitality, but can be detrimental in conserving it. Natural and raw food conserves more vitality as it takes less time for digestion and assimilation in the body. Obesity is the result of toxemia in the body for a very long period of time. People on natural diet experiences more vitality conservation and physically lighter and energetic. Nicely presented and crisp and concise. Thank you, Tulika, for this submission. Next is Vikrant. Rational analysis is something which has to do with reason or logic. So whenever we come across a problem, we try to solve it using our logical mind and reasoning capabilities. Rational analysis are influenced by authoritative, intuitive, or tenacity factors which we have experienced in our past life during our upbringing process, while dialectical science totally believes in questioning about three factors and reaching the ultimate truth. Dialectical science can resolve a problem through arguments and counter arguments around that problem. It takes in consideration various opinions of the people, scriptures, or other sources to reach the ultimate truth. So here I pointed out this influenced by rational analysis, because actually rational analysis and dialectical science are synonymous, you know. So you meant the hardcore logical analysis are influenced by authoritative and all those stuff, maybe. So I think you need to contemplate more on this. And yes, the last sentence I completely appreciate appreciate you for including that. In dialectical process, the individual is not blindly accepted, the scriptures are not blindly accepted, statistics are not blindly accepted, but neither it is rejected outright. So that's what you have included. I appreciate that. And so dialectic evaluation of opinions by the individual, by the scripture, by the statistics is very much included in the process of dialectical analysis. Right. So, Vikrant, are you there in the session? If you can just prompt on the comment box. So the next question was responded this way: food is a form of input that is consumed by the body, while vitality is formless entity which has been induced in our body during conception. So this induced I have pointed out because this induced is kind of synthesized during the conception. During the conception, what happens? The egg and the sperm, when meet up, that time the collision of these two substances, these two forms, actually synthesize and assimilate the vitality from the universe. So it is not the kind of contribution by the parents directly, but the substance contribution is from the parents. So the quality of the substance will determine the quantity of the vitality assimilated. That's for sure. So in a process of mindful procreation, those who are aspiring to be parents, we recommend that purification of the body before the conception has to be done for at least one year, 6 months to 1 year period. At least the purification has to be done so that the substance contributed towards the offspring will be of high quality, and that high quality substance will assimilate a better quantity of vitality during the time of conception. Now he continues, there are some misunderstandings that our vitality can be enhanced by eating the right food, which can provide us the required vitality. But right food can only conserve vitality rather than enhancing the same, which contradicts the fact that eating complex food, non-vegetarian food, etc., helps in generating energy. Rather, complex food eats or consumes energy, as that food is not a natural food as per our body structure. This is very important, body structure. Thus, vitality at its high will not increase by taking right food, but can decrease choosing wrong food habits. Yeah, so the consumption and the conservation aspect. Yeah, so purification, Nandini asks, what is purification for 6 months? What can be recommended? So it's opting the right lifestyle, opting the vitality conservation. So with proper vitality conservation for a period of consistent 6 months to 1 year, ideally 1 year, at least 6 months, will lead the couples to contribute better substance to the offspring, which will contribute in collecting the better vitality from the universe. Now the submission from Rakhi, dialectical science and rational analysis are synonymous. Yes, absolutely. The dialectical science is about arguments and counter arguments. The reasoning capability programmed within us, reasoning capabilities are programmed. We are born with them. Example, how a child is attached to mother. Because the child can reason where food is coming from. just after birth. Rational analysis should be the basis of no ego issues about my word should be superior. Dialectical analysis is about cause and effect analysis, reaching towards truth by arguments and counter argument about the opinion. It's a continuous journey. Example, Kalyan's headstand story. So you continuously keep re-evaluating yourself, and it's never about ego issues. We should not conclude on concepts which are beyond logic, such as emergence or gut feeling. Logic is hardcore, it is rigid, whereas rationality is flexible. She continued, we must use the tool of REBT. So here actually she explains beautifully the ABCD method in a short paragraph. So we must use the tool of REBT, Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, introduced by Albert Ellis. It is about cognitive behavior. We understand that emotions are not bad. Illogical or irrational emotions give us pain, and whenever we experience pain, we need to look into ABCDE method to deal with emotions. A is actuating event. B is belief behind it. C is consequences. If the consequences are good, we must enjoy. If the consequences are disturbances for me, I need to check. Example, death in a family. Then we should opt D, disrupt the irrational belief with repetition. We have to disrupt the irrational belief which is giving us pain. So once you do this, the rational behavior is going to happen on its own. That is the E, emergence of new belief system automatically. So here actually I would like to point out a small thing, that if we are enjoying the consequences, we should not be blind about it also, because we understood the voice of the organism. If we are enjoying something, then we need to go back to the root cause also. We need to evaluate whether the root cause is rational or not, but definitely ABCD methods are adapted when we feel disturbed, right? So here the consequences will be definitely negative. That's why we are opting this method. So that enjoyment point you can delete from your response. So she continued, we have to see that where are our belief systems coming from and who said it. It is not the person, but it is what the person says. It is more important. We need to vet it before coming to a conclusion and accepting it. Questioning is very important. That is what dialectical science is all about. And no matter how many number of people may be saying something, you need to vet it and come to your own conclusion. Nicely presented. Now, the next is the food and vitality option. So the food is not just the food that we eat. Our body needs Our body needs sunlight, air, water, solid food, rest, sleep, exercise, spinal care. As food to be healthy, sunlight exposure to sunlight at dawn and dusk is preferred. Exposure to early morning fresh air, preferably near forest area. Growing fragrant flowers, having a pause between inhale and exhaling. As far as water is concerned, it is better to eat juicy fruits, coconut water, and quench the thirst. Using cohesive water, evolved water with nature, not to the added components. It is advisable to keep water in sunlight in an earthen pot for some time before consuming. The solid food needs to be seasonal, regional, and original. We need not to add taste enhancing components to it. If it is nice to taste and it is less in food density chart, Edmond Brodo-Zeakley 50, 35, 10, 5, and has more exposure to RAW, it should be preferred. Further, the food that we consume is from food chain, and more vitality is consumed in disintegrating and reintegrating. So the vitality is the life force. Vitality that we receive at the time of conception is the vitality that we live with till we die. So till we die could be replaced with the till our body perishes. Nature Cure teaches us how to maintain our vitality and get back to homeostasis. Very nicely presented. No comment further. Now Nandini. Nandini does a lot of research on each statement and question. I'll just flip through the slides that has occupied Nandini's response. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. So 9 slides. So really Nandini, I appreciate your effort, but definitely it will be more appropriate to make it little concise. So it would be great if you can write once, then make it a précis, which will be more attractive for the people to listen in. If I read on these 9 slides, the people will track and lose their attention in between. So let's try it out. Dialectics is based on a discourse between two or more people holding different points of view about a subject, but wishing to establish truth through reasoned arguments. It is contrasted with the didactic, where one person in a conversation teaches the other. Dialectic follows 3 stages of development. See the kind of research it does. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Thesis, which is the statement of the idea. Antithesis is its reaction. Synthesis, differences between the two ideas are solved. Dialectics, a method of philosophical argument, was given in its classical version by Plato as a back and forth debate. Thus, as dialogues go on, a sophisticated, refined view emerges. Then Hegel has shown that all genuine non-external elevation above the finite is to be found in the principle of dialectics. Dialectical processes lead to increased comprehensiveness and universality. Nice choice of word, Nandini. I really appreciate. The final absolute concept is unconditioned because its determination contains within itself all other concepts or forms developed earlier during the dialectic process, as there is no determination left unconsidered. This absolute is the highest form of universality for the subject matter. Rational analysis is a theoretical framework methodology in cognitive science with its goal to explain function and purpose of cognitive processes. It begins with the assumption that the mind is adapted to its environment. So being rational is a behavioral choice guided by conscious reasoning than by experience and not adversely affected by emotions. It is also a thinking process using objective, systematic, and logical methods to reach a conclusion or solve a problem. Dialectics is a power that can be attributed to inner poise and an open mind. It allows us to undo our conditioned behavior and unlearn when presented with suitable arguments, without dependence on heavy data for or against some deeply held belief. Dialectics is a holistic exploration of truth in a form that, if assimilated by a person, can manage vitality. For example, I met my farming community member who shared that he has a lot of chest congestion for the past month, for which he obtained some syrup from the chemist. Syrup will cure the lung congestion. His premise: do you think your diet is causing mucus formation? Do you take milk or milk products? If so, can you stop for 1 week? So let's see how you feel. this can give rise to possibilities, that is, he may feel better, or he may be the same, or feel worse. Milk, etc., cause phlegm. Second premise. Can you expose yourself to Second premise, can you expose to yourself to sunshine? Maybe you feel better. This is the other proposition. Now here, he does not need to accept what I propose, but observes himself. He starts to feel better from beyond logical realm. Here, dialectics is showing its combination of logic and love. As I communicate that care for my member, the way we think has a significant impact on the way we feel. As per Albert Ellis, people are not disturbed by things, but rather their view of things. His REBT, Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, disputes, challenges, questions our irrational and dysfunctional beliefs and replaces them with functional beliefs. The result is not just a change in thought pattern or reducing problematic symptoms, but a new perspective to life, and thereby a state from an innervated state to inner poise. Dialectics and rational analysis is a very important tool in the hands of nature cure practitioners, since it seeks to focus on management of vitality by objectivity of behavior and reach its goal of health and happiness with ease. Excellent write up, Nandini. I really appreciate. Now the next submission from Nandini is, vitality is the prana or sense of life that is fixed at the time of birth. Having said that, it cannot be increased but must be managed sparingly with great awareness. We can improve our lifestyle, include more physical activities daily, meditate to manage our thought processes, give ourselves RAW and solid food. In this manner, our beyond conscious will also get suitably managed without wastage of vitality. Food is the requirement of bodily processes, metabolism, which looks after cell repair and regeneration. This process has two sub-processes, anabolism and catabolism, that is breaking down of food and taking up substances. This is one of the actually activities, but every activities of the body can be categorized under anabolism and catabolism, just so you know. By body cells, the body increases it in size since birth and is programmed to go towards maturation. If its vitality is managed well, then it has sufficient input. If RAW and solid food, then it's closer to homeostasis and is happy, energetic, healthy. Its newer cells are of better quality than before. Food or input that such a body ideally needs is that which will be assimilated by it with least expenditure of vitality, which can become soil fastest. That is, fresh seasonal fruit. For survival, it may opt for processed fruit, etc. Anything simple, unprocessed, without chemical procedure, with minimum cooking is good for it. Thus, boiled and steamed vegetables preferred to heavy curries, fried items, meats, dairy. The voice of the organism must be heard. When true hunger is perceived, the body should be given fresh, seasonal fruit for its nutrients. In case of craving, a suitable analysis is required to check for irrational conditioning or thought association with a particular childhood memory, etc. Over a period of time, the cellular memory that craves for undesired items will decrease as newer cells will be constituted by better materials through conscious intervention by us. We have a tendency to slip into our comfort foods at the cost of our vitality. We must develop a strong awareness amongst our close friends and family to discipline and uncondition ourselves towards proper input of food. So here, discipline, the word actually I'm uncomfortable, So because discipline sounds as imposition. So it is not to control but to convince is the root of nature cure. Now she continued, I observe that eating and grazing is a disease these days, especially without hunger and on a time fixed intervals. People are now not in tune with their bodies. With the right food and maximum vitality conservation, the body is able to reach a sigh of happiness, a state of happiness, actually, it is typo, state of happiness and health free from any disease and discomforts, as it is able to cure and repair itself at its designated time by way of proper rest. It's thus aligned with nature, and in such a lifestyle, medical insurance is redundant. Excellent. Overall, really, it's very relishing to read your submission. Yeah, not to be imposed upon, right, Nandini? So now today's last submission is from Bidyut. The first one is dialectics is the process of reaching the truth by intellectual arguments and re-argument of an individual without depending on the influence of others' opinion, like ancient scriptures, book quotations, data, acceptability of others, etc. It is an exercise of an individual's own rationality, intellect, and wisdom as an unprejudiced observer that is deals with only with the present without being influenced by the past experience of self or others. Dialectic approach is not a hardcore logic. It is a rational approach. Are you there, Vidyut? Dialectic approach is not hardcore logic. It is a rational approach and reasoning capability programmed within us. Rational analysis refers to the pleasant consequences of any event, issues, or topics. Any analysis or belief ends with a painful consequence that is irrational. As per REPT therapy, any emotional consequence with a good experience is rational, and if painful, irrational. No question about it. Very simple and to the point. Second submission is vitality is the energy that we have within us since birth in a fixed amount. The vitality of an individual is unique to that individual only, like fingerprint. Food is just the substance of our bodybuilding process. The quality of food ensures the healthy body formation and conservation of vitality, but not the enhancement of vitality in any way. More the simple the food is, better it brings the health to the individual through effective vitality conservation. The RAW and raw food, fruits, vegetables, etc. are the simple food, and these helps us to conserve a lot of vitality. Complex food drains our vitality, making us less powerful. Very crisp and no question about it. No doubt or any point that I see to comment. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So there's no submission from Shiva, no submission from Mr. Murthy. So yeah, that's where we end the today's all submissions. So definitely we can take up questions if you have any pressing questions. Otherwise, we'll call it a day and we'll resume tomorrow at 6 a.m. So we'll now start the silence, the concluding silence for 1.5 minutes. And by that time, if you post any pressing questions, then we can take up that. Right. So there is no question that I see in the chat. So we'll call it a day. Good night to all of you, and we'll reassemble at 6 a.m. sharp tomorrow. Bye-bye.